Hello and welcome to another Hearthstone duel. I'm Ben Brode. I'll be shoutcasting this match. Oh, we found a worthy opponent. This match is between Valera Sanguinar the Rogue and Malfurion Stormrage the Druid. Oh, this is an interesting opening hand. We have two minions that cost 8 mana, and usually want to pitch those right back into your deck, but this Rogue is holding on to an Alarmabot. And that minion, when you play it at the start of your turn, it swaps with a minion in your hand. And for only 3 mana, you could swap with an 8-cost minion and have an 8-cost minion as early as turn 3. And that might be too much for almost any deck to deal with. So we'll see what happens. He really doesn't want to draw any other minions because he wants to make sure that Alarmabot swaps with either Ragnaros or Gruul, the Dragon Killer. The Druid starts off by playing kind of a weak minion. The Novice Engineer. It draws him a card when he comes into play, but Ragnaros doesn't care about cards. So maybe we'll see a quick end as Ragnaros finishes off this Druid here. So the Rogue has Backstab. It costs 0, deals 2 damage, and that's enough to finish off that meek Novice Engineer, and then uses his hero power to spawn a weapon, and doesn't use it right away. He's holding on for maybe a more strategic time where you can finish off a minion rather than just deal 1 damage to the enemy hero. Now the Druid uses his hero power and gives him 1 attack this turn and an armor, and goes right in, starts off with 1 damage to the Rogue. Now 3 mana, that's enough for Alarmabot, so he'll play it and hope that it gets the attention of either Ragnaros or Gruul. Now he's drawn 2 minions since his opening hand. Still got Ragnaros and Gruul. If he swaps with one of those, that's great. That's incredible this early in the game. But he could swap with the Gadgetzan Auctioneer, which is still good. It's a 4/4 that draws him a card. And the worst case scenario would be the Faceless Manipulator, who has a battle cry that copies a minion, but only if you play it from your hand. So if the Alarmabot summons it, that doesn't do anything for you. Oh, and that's the worst result. The Faceless Manipulator comes out. Just a 3/3 on his own. He would have loved to have played that to copy Ragnaros or something kind of incredible that way. So now he's got access to Preparation and Cold Blood. Neither of those are great plays right now. You want to play Cold Blood usually when you can attack right away because it gives you a big bonus attack. But if you play it on a minion that can't attack because you just played him, well, then your opponent might kill him and you never get to use the advantage of Cold Blood. The Druid, well, that's interesting. He used Wrath, but you can either deal 1 damage and draw a card, or you can deal 3 damage with it. He chose to deal 1 and draw a card, and then it looks like he's going to finish off that minion with Moonfire and his hero power. And it's interesting that he didn't finish off the Alarmabot because it could have summoned, well, it didn't, but it could have summoned Ragnaros or Gruul right there. I guess the Druid doesn't know what cards the Rogue is playing with. Although, if you see Alarmabot, it's fair to assume they've got some pretty big minions. So now that Gadgetzan Auctioneer lets you draw a card every time you play a spell. So we see a couple spells in the hand of the Rogue here. He's got Fan of Knives and Cold Blood. He said he uses his hero power, and he could play Cold Blood, but looks like he's choosing not to do that now. Probably because he doesn't want to use it on a minion that doesn't attack right away, and that makes sense. But in this case, I think I probably would have played it to draw a card from the Gadgetzan Auctioneer. Maybe it's something else that you can play right away as well and draw another card. But it does give your opponent the ability to respond and kill the guy with Cold Blood, and it looks like the Druid would have been able to do that here with a swipe, killing the Gadgetzan Auctioneer, and then using his hero power to get a little bit of armor and an attack to continue picking away at the Rogue. Well, the Rogue here has got 6 mana now. You can see that in the bottom right-hand corner. It's still not enough to play Ragnaros or Gruul. He's got a lot of cards that he can... he's got Fan of Knives. It's not very good when your opponent has no minions, and he just drew Assassinate, which kills a minion. Also not good when your opponent has no minions. And I guess probably the right play here is to play the Alarmabot again, I think. And he does that. So now, this time, Alarmabot will swap with Ragnaros or Gruul. He has no other minions in his hand. So if Alarmabot survives this round, we'll see one of those guys hit the floor next turn. And the Druid casts Starfall. He can either deal 5 damage to one enemy or 2 to all of them. He chooses to hit the whole board, killing a lot of those minions. He uses his hero power to finish off the last health of that Alarmabot, which never got to summon Ragnaros or Gruul, which is unfortunate, especially because now the Rogue doesn't really have anything to play. He's got Fan of Knives. Well, that just hits enemy minions, and he doesn't have any enemy minions over there. So nobody to buff with Cold Blood, nobody to assassinate, and he doesn't have enough mana to cast Ragnaros or Gruul yet. So a terrible turn for the Rogue. Let's see if the Druid can take advantage of that. He starts off with a Kobold Geomancer. That gives him spell power, which lets his spells deal 1 extra damage. But not using the turn great. He's just using his hero power to deal 1, and that's it. Didn't even spend 4 of his mana, so 2 kind of bad turns for both players. Well, now we've got 8 mana, so it's time to start bringing out the big guns, and here's Ragnaros. At the end of the turn, randomly chooses a minion or hero and deals 8 damage to it, and shows the enemy hero. Well, that brings that Druid down to 16, and if you can't deal with Ragnaros, he's going to deal 8 damage every turn of the game from here on. But there is the big game hunter, and he's so good against big minions. Just chooses a minion who got 7 or more and kills it straight away. And he's a 4-2. He just sits in the field and starts hitting you after that. So now the rogue down to 20. He's facing down 2 pretty good minions. But he's got Assassinate, he's got Fan of Knives, he's got some taunt minions now, and he plays the Abomination, who has taunt, so they have to attack the Abomination if they want to attack. And it has Death Rattle, and that Abomination's Death Rattle power deals 2 damage to everything. So it doesn't matter what happens. If that thing dies, both of the minions on the opposing side will go. And he Fan of Knives, I don't know if that was necessary because of the Abomination, and uses his weapon to finish off the minion that didn't die from Fan of Knives. Well, at least he's got the Abomination still in the field. Maybe he can use it to deal some damage next turn instead of getting attacked right into it. And the opposing hero's at 16, so that swipe kills it off. Brings the opposing hero to 15. They're both at 15 now, as the Druid casts Healing Touch, bringing himself up to 23. And then Shapeshift to give him an armor and just deal 1 more damage to the rogue. Well, now it's a little bit more lopsided, but both players have nothing in the battlefield and about the same number of cards. And this is a great time to play Gruul, definitely. Gruul starts off at a 7/7, but every turn he gets +1 attack and +1 health. And he gets really strong really fast as he goes up to 8/8 right now. Now, he played a Shield Bearer who has Taunt and no attack, and then he used Cold Blood with its combo effect, because he already played a card this turn, to give it 4 attacks. So now he's got somebody to protect himself, and he's got Gruul, which is going to be hard for the Druid to kill if he doesn't, if he tries to do it with an attacker, because he has to attack that Taunt minion first. But he did play Starfire there, dealing 5 damage to that Taunter, also draws him a card. And now Gruul's out in the open. If the Druid has something to kill it, or maybe attack for some of the damage, but if you don't kill it soon, Gruul grows every turn, and it could be much more difficult later on to kill Gruul off. So it looks like he's got nothing. Instead, he's using his hero power, dealing 1 damage to the rogue, bringing him to 13. Gruul gets stronger, and we're going to see an attack from Gruul definitely at this point. So the rogue still unable to cast Assassinate. He hasn't seen any minions. He has Backstab. That's also not good if the opponent has no minions, but it doesn't really matter what you got in your hand if you've got a giant 13 attack Gruul in play, and there he is attacking, bringing the Druid down to 12. So if the Druid cannot kill Gruul this turn, he dies next turn. Gruul's going to attack, kill him off. I guess he could heal himself some, but he's got to do something dramatic at this point. And he's fishing here. He plays Wild Growth. When you're at max mana, Wild Growth just gives you some excess mana, which you can then use to draw a card. So he doesn't have an answer yet. He's looking for something, though. Drawing cards from his deck, trying to find anything he can do. And now he plays Bite that gives him +6 attack. He still has to get through that Taunt minion, though. Oh, another Bite. So now it goes up to 12 attack. Well, that's huge. And then he plays Innervate because he's out of mana. It gives him 2 mana crystals this turn only. And he uses them to play Savagery. That deals 12 to each of those minions. And now there's nobody in the way. You can attack for 12, bring in the rogue to 1 health. Oh, and then Moonfire is exactly the card he needs to deal the final damage. Incredible victory for Malfurion. So sorry, Valera. Good game.